So the leaks for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 21 have come out, and these are the text leaks at first. We're probably going to get the full spoilers in a couple of days, or maybe like last chapter, we're not going to get the scans at all. But based on what I've currently seen, this chapter is going to be a 10 out of 10. A lot of hype is going to be in this chapter. Sarada does end up going crazy. Excuse me if the audio sounds different. I'm not at home right now and I feel very sick, but you know the grind doesn't stop. And if it's for you guys, I'll make sure I drop the spoilers first so that you guys can enjoy. It's always you guys over my own health. But let's simply get on to the tech spoilers that we do end up seeing. This is from Fanverse. This is Ray. I always try my best to credit the people who I end up getting this information from. At times, he did end up selling us with some fake leaks, but he said he probably wouldn't do that ever again. He just wanted to piss off the community. But the first thing he ends up letting us know is about Sarada's Mangekyou Sharingan powers, and he is surprised at the powers that we see. He says this new MS power is hacks, and is probably going to end up explaining exactly what her powers end up being. He also adds on that Sarada is the color page and it looks pretty cool, so I hope he ends up hitting. I hope it is not like a chapter 80 that we got. Although it was a cool little cover, I really didn't like the pose and the way we saw Sarada's eyes. I just didn't like the way it looked personally. If it's more like we got in chapter 2 of Boruto TBV Vortex, I feel like it would be perfect with the Mangekyou Sharingan, hopefully a dynamic pose, or maybe one of her abilities end up showing up in the cover. I hope that is the case. So Ray ends up giving us a little description of Sarada's Mangekyou Sharingan powers. He says any attack aimed at Sarada gets sucked by the portal. She probably needs to see the attack coming. Sarada can create many portals from different directions. Sarada seems to be able to select a target as RYU was getting sucked in, increasing the portal size / power and crush the target with it. Oh no, this seems a little too crazy and I'm already hyped. I can't be too loud right now because I'm in the library, but from what I'm currently seeing right now, this simple description is going to be crazy. The title of this chapter is called Mangekyou Sharingan, and the chapter ends up starting off with Sarada having a flashback. So first of all, when it comes to more descriptions about this ability, he does end up saying that he doesn't know the actual name, as it doesn't appear like it was named, or simply due to the fact that he can't actually see the translations at the moment. He can't actually read Japanese. He can't give us the translations, but from various people that we're hearing on Twitter, and this is a different person, I'm not going to confirm that this is true or not, but it is called the Sun Goddess, and I'm probably gonna butcher the name in Japanese, but it seems like it is called Orhiram. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I probably butchered the name, but I can show you guys right here. This is what we might end up having as the name of her powers. They're probably going to end up keeping the Japanese name for the English name and just make it sound more English, because I don't think that's going to be the name of Sarada's Mangekyou Sharingan in the actual anime when it is translated into English. But we end up discussing more about Sarada and what she ends up doing. Ray says that he thinks she needs to see the attack coming and she is floating like RYU. So maybe she is targeting herself. So bro, this really looks like this is some sort of gravitational power, some sort of celestial powers, because she is literally floating, and now this is going to give her too much aura. Is she able to like kind of fly? No, I'm too like this is actually gonna give Sarada too much aura, because what I'm seeing and what I'm envisioning is a Sarada floating, controlling different portals, sucking at RYU here, grabbing all his attacks with a different portal, crushing RYU there. It's actually looking broken. I'm already too hyped if you can't tell. I wish I was home to actually show it to 100%, but based on what I'm seeing, this is already looking too peak. This might actually be the most broken Mangekyou Sharingan ability, up there with the likes of Kamui in my personal opinion, because RYU gets crushed by Sarada's Mangekyou Sharingan power and she bleeds on her eye. So okay, a lot of people said that she probably wouldn't bleed, but we do end up seeing her bleed. You know, we gotta be a little cautious. You know, if I heard it was Sasuke bleeding, I'd be cool, but you know, Sarada, her eyes are already tweaking, so she gotta be careful. I really don't know how she's gonna maintain those powers, but we end up seeing that she is tired from using her Mangekyou Sharingan and gets unconscious. Thankfully, Mitsuki grabbed her before she fell to the ground. And we usually see this common trope, I'm not gonna lie, when the MC or a side character ends up awakening this tremendous power and they end up using it and they're feeding their opponent, and then they end up getting unconscious because of the overuse of their powers, especially if it's the first time, and then a friend ends up stopping them from falling or stopping them from falling to the ground. We see this all the time. But as I'm saying, we also have to keep in mind that Sarada is a half Uchiha. And a lot of people say that, oh, it shouldn't matter that much, but it actually does. We did hear some dialogue in various novels concerning the Uchiha clan that half Uchihas have a harder time controlling their Sharingan powers. And this is why we saw at times where Sarada didn't have the best chakra control and thus couldn't use her Sharingan in the most effective way, which is why Sasuke had to end up training her using the kunais so she could better use her Sharingan, because even though she had the two Tomoe Sharingan, she wasn't using it in the most effective manner. So this does indicate that being a half Uchiha does end up coming with certain levels of drawbacks. However, through training, one could effectively bypass those drawbacks that we end up seeing. However, this as a performance from Sarada, she basically defeated Ryu, because as we're seeing here from Ray, we see the Torn Soul generate and either Boruto and Kashakoji are talking. This ends up telling us that Sarada ended up defeating Ryu, and this is a very big deal. It's not like Ryu was defeated through much of a teamwork. No, at a certain point, there was teamwork between Team 10 and the guys from the Land of Wind. However, at another, we do end up seeing a 1v1 between Sarada and Ryu, after basically everyone was staying stagnant watching the fight take place. And this Ryu is the same Ryu that threatened to kill Code, grabbing him by the neck. This feat already displays to us that Ryu is stronger than the likes of Code, or at least relative to Code, to the point where he would be able to take on Code by himself, as he threatened and asked Jiro if he was able to kill him. Now Sarada being able to solo this character right after using the Sharingan that she barely has any experience using, although it does end up coming to her instinctively, as we heard from Sasuke, she still doesn't have much experience using that ability. Is basically her first time doing so. Thus, when we see her using it right now, it is not at the full potential. She can become even more creative when using this ability. But just from what we can see, she's already strong enough to take down the likes of Ryu. So for everybody saying that Sarada is too weak, Sarada might actually be almost close to Boruto's level. Kawaki, you better watch out. You better get your liberators out quick, because if you keep pissing off Sarada like he did in chapter 4, your time will come, because Sarada taking down Ryu, Kawaki, you might be next. You better chill. But we end up going back to Konohamaru and Matsuri, or the Konohamaru who is in trouble, as Matsuri is stabbing him with 2 of her 4 pointed collars. And this is essentially her body that has basically been turned to her head and part of her outfit, and she's basically attacking Konohamaru. So it appears like Konohamaru is going to be devoured, and this is what I wanted to see for a long time. However, it is not actually the case. Konohamaru doesn't get devoured, because we have a Ray who says, but someone throws a kunai behind Matsuri, and it's Boruto. He teleports to the battlefield thanks to one of the fly rising symbols. This essentially allows Boruto to make it to the battlefield, and now he is going to attack the likes of Matsuri to basically prevent Matsuri from being able to kill his master Konohamaru. I really wish there was Kawaki who ended up doing so, as it could reinforce the omnipotence in the sense that Kawaki would be acting in a way that Boruto does, and Boruto basically coming to save Konohamaru does end up reinforcing the idea that maybe Boruto isn't who everybody thinks he is, as this isn't the second time that he has come to save somebody from the leaf. But Boruto ends up using a shuriken to teleport to Matsuri, and he cuts her to pieces. Kashakoji is sweating, talking, and I don't know what exactly he's doing, but it seems like he wasn't supposed to go. Then Jiro says something like, "You have shown up, Otsutsuki Boruto," and that is the end of the chapter. And basically what we're seeing take place is Boruto rebelling against Kashakoji and not doing what Kashakoji tell him. Is this going to lead to the death of Boruto, as exactly what we saw took place? As Kashakoji told us that the next time Boruto made an appearance in the battlefield, it would result in his death by Jiro. And that's why we do end up seeing a Kashakoji who is sweating. So what exactly will take place? We'll have to find out in the next chapter, but based off the spoilers already, Sarada is that girl. Let's please clap it up for Sarada. And Sarada is definitely moving up a tier. Based off what I've seen, I'm sorry, Kawaki. I'm just going to have to do it. You'd probably get packed up by Sarada. I don't know what your limit is though, but Sarada would probably pack you up right now. I know you weren't doing too good against the other Seiji. I didn't see anything impressive. And this is essentially leading up to Sarada being strong enough to be able to take on the likes of Hidari by herself. And this is basically proving that she could. This could show us that probably Hidari is a little stronger than Ryu for sure, but Sarada with this Mangekyou Sharingan powers, I can't wait to see her floating. That's the biggest part to me. Seeing her float, this is really some sort of goddess powers. Being able to use this, from what I'm currently seeing, maybe all of her powers end up revolving around this almost ability to use portals and almost this ability to allow her to float and everything. I don't know if we necessarily see different abilities from different eyes in this chapter or they're all interconnected. I don't know exactly, but definitely getting more information and definitely getting some translations as to what exactly is going on will enlighten us on this subject. We don't see her use the Susanoo. I guess this is probably going to be saved against the likes of Hidari because not everything is going to be revealed. I hope we do end up learning more about like both Mangekyou Sharingan abilities. This is what I really hope is going to happen. But next chapter, we already know what's happening. Jura is going to make an appearance and Boruto and Jura again is going to happen. Maybe Sarada plays a hand into this, maybe she doesn't. I don't know what happens to Gaara exactly. Since Ryu has been turned into a soul thorn, does that ability stay or not? Because I did hear that it was Ryu or Shinki who are the only people who could undo that ability. So they still need either to bring Shinki back immediately, so they would take the torn soul that they have and immediately go give it back to Shinki, and then Shinki would end up coming back to life and essentially freeing Gaara. Or it could be a completely different scenario that ends up happening, because if they end up taking Ryu's soul thorn to Shinki, then it means that all of them are likely to go, which is a scary thing to think about since we know that Boruto versus Jura is about to happen. So Sarada will probably not be able to help Boruto out during that fight. Or is this the moment that we have been waiting for Kawaki to end up making an appearance after getting his limiters removed, and we see this 2v1 versus the likes of Jura, where Boruto and Kawaki team up to end up fighting against him. This is the information we end up getting from Ray. Sarada was badass in this chapter. Sarada fans are going to love it. I am one of those people who's already loving it. Basically, looking at tech spoilers, I'm already too hyped. A lot of people hate tech spoilers because they end up ruining a lot of things. I'm not in that camp. It just gets me even more hyped. I can't wait to see what ends up taking place. Let me know your comments, thoughts, and opinions in the comment section below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's been your boy Dynasty, and I'm out, bruh.